And this game in particular was all about one man, and that man was Christian Pulisic. In my team selector, I really highlighted the fact that I wanted to see Pulisic start. Now, I'm not going to turn around and be one of those people to say I told you so. I just thought that based on his performances recently, I really wanted to see him get given a chance from the start, and he was. And did he take it? Absolutely. He absolutely took it with both hands. An incredible individual display. Everything Pulisic did turned to gold yesterday. He was absolutely world class, stunning. Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for my rational perspective on Burnley 2, Chelsea 4. Another victory, 7 in a row. And this Chelsea side just impresses us every game. Seems to improve in certain aspects every game. And this game in particular was all about one man, and that man was Christian Pulisic. In my team selector, I really highlighted the fact that I wanted to see Pulisic start. Now, I'm not going to turn around and be one of those people to say I told you so. I just thought that based on his performances recently, I really wanted to see him get given a chance from the start, and he was. And did he take it? Absolutely. He absolutely took it with both hands. An incredible individual display. Everything Pulisic did turned to gold yesterday. He was absolutely world class, stunning individual performance, but he not on his own, he was incredible, but of course other players as well. And I wanted to, the reason I'm uploading this a day later, I just wanted to take some time, look at the game again, and really analyze it a bit more and really talk about things in a little bit more in depth. But going in, of course, Pulisic was that one change coming in for HUDSON-ODOI. It's interesting to me that both Dave and Willian as well contributing to this game. It's quite clear that Frank likes having both of those players in the team, and I think if their form continues, I think it'll be very rare when one of those two players are not in the starting 11, and both of them I think regularly will feature because they are, with their experience, with their performance level, with what they know, I think they help and benefit the younger players in the team. So both of those players, of course, regulars, and Willian and Pulisic both on the wings to start. I thought the opening 20, not a lot went on. I thought we coped with Burnley's physicality pretty well. It was a pretty dull opening 20 minutes. It was us sort of intercepting them, trying to cross from out wide, Jorginho, Kovacic, and then trying to get the ball forward to the likes of Pulisic, to Mason, to Tammy, and it just break up and play. And you sort of expect that when you go to Turf Moor, it usually is quite that sort of start, but you have to sort of ride any storm that comes at you from Burnley. And once you do that, then hopefully you can start to play your game. And that's sort of what happened. And you could already tell early in the game, Pulisic was starting to get some space, runs from deep. He made a run early on, and I think he laid it off to Mount, who had his shot blocked, and you sort of thought, okay, that's one moment there. And then Lautsen making the error, and Pulisic running in, and at points you thought maybe he's taken this a little bit too wide, but he did brilliant skill to evade the Burnley defenders, and then drilling it in the opposite direction and evading everyone, and it goes in, and that's his first Chelsea goal. And you could see the emotion on his face. That was just so lovely to see how much it meant to him, and it should have, because it was a brilliant goal, and it was one that set Chelsea off. But then after that, because it was a wonderful goal on its own, and we really dealt with Burnley's best period of the game, probably, in terms of just it getting at us, because, and I know that you can make the argument, of course, very later on in the game, but I'm talking when it's 1-0 and the game's very much still open and very much still competitive at this point. Kevin makes a wonderful save, I think, from a Peter shot that's deflected. Wonderful reaction save. They have a few set pieces that look a little bit worrying, using their physicality, getting it direct into the box. But once again, I think we dealt with that very well. I think earlier on in the season, I think you could have seen the game turn there, and we could have conceded. We could have conceded as well. Barnes missing from basically a yard out, it seemed. So we were lucky there, but I felt in the main we sort of rode the storm once again, controlled it, and then got it back on the floor and started playing more possession-based, getting it through the middle. Kovacic, Jorginho, superb in the middle of the park, and then being patient with our play. And once again, Christian Pulisic, Burnley giving the ball away in a dangerous area, and us capitalising on it. Pulisic just running directly at the Burnley defence. So often you see players sort of doubt themselves or stop, and you just sort of think, it's great to see players like Pulisic with the pace and skill and flair he has just run at defenders, and it paid dividends yesterday. It really did. It was absolutely devastating to watch, and his second goal with his right foot. Sure, it got deflection, but he's created that goal for himself, and it's 2-0, and the complexion of the game changes for Burnley at half time. Going in at 1-0, you sort of think this is a tight game. But at 2-0, we've got that nice cushion, and Burnley have to sort of commit more men forward, which is what happened in the second half. They started quite positively, but you always knew Chelsea had that threat on the break. And what a way to round off your hat trick with a header. Left foot, right foot header. It couldn't get any better for Christian Pulisic. It was a wonderful ball in by Mason. Perfect ball into a danger area. And Pulisic with a lovely flicked header over the keeper. And basically from there, it's game over. And Chelsea, literally a minute later, go up the other end again. And Willian, devastating counter-attack. Tammy over to Willian. He had loads of space to operate in. And it was a classic Willian goal. Just a little step over and then drills it to the far corner. And it's 4-0. And you're sort of thinking at this point, can Chelsea ramp up a bit of a scoreline here and really get the goals flowing even more than they were at Turf Moor? That's the key for me, is how devastating we've been recently and how clinical we've been. The amount of goals we are scoring away from home is so impressive. If you look at our last 4 Premier League away games away from home, which we've all won, Norwich, Wolves, Southampton and now Burnley, all of those games we've scored 3 or more goals. That is really impressive. And no matter what you sort of put in caveats in terms of the opposition, that is a difficult thing to do. And Chelsea are doing it and seem to be getting more clinical and more devastating and more fluid in their attacks. And I think that's really exciting for Chelsea fans to watch. It's enthralling, it's exhilarating. And I think the main point I want to talk about here in relation to Pulisic is we talked a lot in the summer, and I think the fear was with Chelsea was where were the goals going to come from? We're losing Eden Hazard, who is making up half of our goals. He's creating so many of our goals as well. How is Frank Lampard going to solve this conundrum? And it was all about in pre-season what formation is going to work to maximise the amount of goals Lampard can get out of this team. And it's going to have to come from a variety of areas. And that is what is happening for Chelsea. If it isn't Tammy Abraham, it's Mason Mount. If it isn't Mason Mount, it's Willian. If it isn't Willian, now we see Christian Pulisic. And there are other goals from other players tied in there as well. But the fact that Frank is being able to get players into positions, this formation working, the style of football, it seems it's benefiting the players so wonderfully. And that's the brilliant thing of say like a player like Mason, who created a goal, still had a decent game, but isn't getting the chances to score. You've got a player like Pulisic that can step up, and squad depth with the amount of football we're going to be playing is absolutely key. And the level of performances at this period of the season is so encouraging, I think, for Chelsea. And Pulisic, who was a player that I think a lot of people, I remember doing a show about it a few weeks ago on Let's Talk Chelsea, the fear about his time. And I said, listen, squad depth, there's going to be moments and opportunities of Christian Pulisic. And what a week it has been for him. He comes on against Newcastle, makes an instant impact in that game. We win the game. A couple of days later, he comes on for Ajax. It's 0-0, same situation, and he creates the winner. And then he gets his start at the end of the week and scores a hat-trick. So for him, this is an amazing night, and hopefully this just propels him forward and also challenges the players around him to perform well. And that's what I think Frank Lampard is doing well in terms of competition. It's creating players and creating situations where players are having to step up their games, and that's just benefiting Chelsea. It's a win-win situation, so absolutely wonderful. Just some other things to touch on. Tomori, a recovery tackle, world class, a really incredible recovery tackle. Yes, the game's at 4-0, but then when you think of the actual finishing scoreline, that's a key tackle in itself. Wonderful from him. I thought Reece James came on instantly in the action, a couple of brilliant blocks, and I thought, even though it would probably be forgotten because of the way the game was and it's sort of dead at that point, I was really encouraged with Reece James getting forward, being almost at times drifting a little bit more centrally. Of course, he's played in midfield before, and that's going to be exciting, I think, addition to his game of how Frank uses that. So I think Reece James coming on, that was exciting to see, and hopefully he gets his start against Manchester United in midweek. Just another thing I want to talk about, of course, we had a penalty that then got overturned. It's poor from HUDSON-ODOI. I can understand he feels he's got a push in the back by Loughton, but it does look like it looks like a dive to me. I have to be honest, and it's just poor. I think if I saw other players doing it from opposition, I would condemn it. So I have to condemn it with Callum. He doesn't need to do it. He's an incredibly talented footballer. That it just doesn't need, as Pulisic proved on that night, it just, you don't need that. And it's an unfortunate thing. It's something where, if he has got the push and that's why he's gone down, then fair enough, it's not a dive. But it probably, I think on commentary they were saying, it may not warrant a yellow card, but it's not a penalty. It wasn't a penalty. And really, the only sour point other than that was the 2 goals conceded. Now, I have to say, one of them is a worldie from Rodriguez. It just is. Yeah, Chelsea should be pressing Rodriguez more and not allowing a player from that distance to have a shot. And yeah, you could say the Kepa sees it from a long way out, but it's still a fantastic strike. You can't take that away from it. And the second goal is a deflected shot, but the second goal, there is more fault for me because you're allowing, once again, a player like McNeil to have space to shoot. You just can't allow that, the deflection goes against you. And there was a moment there where you're sort of a bit, is this Wolves part 2, where we're sort of up against it here and we're letting an impressive scoreline sort of falter a little bit. But at the end, it's a dominant display and it's a wonderful game. I thought once again Kovacic was exceptional in the middle. I think Jorginho as well. I think it's just so happy at the moment with Chelsea. Sometimes you're like, yeah, it's just all brilliant at the moment, and that sometimes isn't maybe as interesting to debate. But I think it's so exciting that so early on into Lampard's reign, there is so much positivity, and I feel like I keep on reiterating the same things over and over, but it's true, isn't it? It's just true that at the moment, Chelsea and Lampard and what he's creating and what's happening is just really positive and exciting, and I think just fills every Chelsea fan with so much happiness and also just belief that this is only the beginning, and that's what's really, really encouraging and I think excites all of us going forward. So that is it, another win. We now move on to the League Cup game against Manchester United, which is going to be a big game, and I hope within the squad there's a feeling of hopefully redemption and revenge going into that game. I think the Carabao Cup is a big chance for us to potentially win some silverware this season, so it's going to be interesting who comes back, who stays in the team, how Frank approaches that game against Solskjaer and United, considering what happened at the start of the season. But of course, I'll have my team selector and all of that going out before the game, so definitely check that out. But thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.